You stand at the edge of your own becoming, and life is whispering a truth you may have forgotten. What you desire is not something you must chase. It's something you already possess. The moment the desire rose within you, the seed was planted, the reality was formed, and all of creation began moving to reveal it. You are not waiting for it. It is waiting for you to accept it as yours. There is a gentle power within you, a quiet knowing that insists your longing is not random, not accidental. It is the inner you recognizing what already belongs to you. Desire is not a sign of lack. It is evidence of ownership. It is the soul's memory of what is already done. The outer world has simply not caught up yet, but it will, it must, for the unseen is always seeking expression, and your assumption is the doorway through which it enters. You have felt this before, those moments where you just knew something was meant for you. That knowing came first. The evidence came later. It always happens in that order. First the inner acceptance, then the outer confirmation. As it is spoken, believe that you receive, and you shall. It does not say believe after you receive, it says believe as if it is already done. That is the law, the rhythm, the harmony between imagination and manifestation. Think of the times in your life when something wonderful unfolded seemingly out of nowhere. A person appeared at the perfect moment. An opportunity opened. A door that once seemed shut swung wide. These were not coincidences. They were reflections of a shift that first happened inside you. You changed your inner state, even for a moment, and reality rearranged itself to match it. Everything around you is compelled to reflect who you believe yourself to be. There is a simple yet profound truth. You cannot desire what isn't already yours in some unseen way. The desire is the proof of possession. Just as a seed contains the full pattern of the tree, your desire contains the full pattern of its fulfillment. You do not question whether a seed will become what it is designed to be. You do not dig it up every day in fear. You allow it. You trust the unseen process. You know its nature guarantees the outcome. So it is with your desires. They are spiritual seeds already complete, waiting only for your assumption of their reality. When you accept this, you stop begging life to give you what is already stored within your own imagination. You stop pleading, and you begin assuming. You stop reaching outward, and you begin receiving inwardly. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, quietly, gently, lovingly, you set the spiritual law in motion. You create the inner atmosphere in which your unseen reality grows visible. There is a verse that speaks softly but powerfully, call those things which are not seen as though they were. This is the heart of creation. This is the art of faith. You do not wait for the world to show you the result. You show the world your decision. You clothe yourself in the feeling of already having it, and the outer world must bow to that inner state. It must mirror you. It has no choice. Imagine holding in your mind the version of yourself who already has what you seek: the health, the relationship, the success, the peace, the opportunity. Imagine seeing yourself living it, breathing it, moving as that version of you. Feel it as though it is happening now, not tomorrow, not someday, now. Because creation is always now. The present moment is the only place where anything is ever born. When you allow yourself to feel the reality of your desire, even without outer evidence, you are stepping into the state that brings everything forth. You are becoming the person who already has it. And once you assume that state, life arranges itself around you. People shift, circumstances shift, time bends, paths unfold, all to reveal what was already true. It was yours from the beginning. Some people think faith is blind, but real faith sees with a deeper vision. It sees the invisible and calls it real. It sees beyond appearances, beyond delays, beyond current conditions. It sees the truth that the outer world is only a shadow of the inner world. Change the inner and the outer must follow. It cannot resist. You may ask, how do I know it's working? You know because your inner atmosphere begins to feel different. You feel calmer, more expectant, more at peace. You feel a quiet certainty, even if nothing has changed outwardly. That feeling is the first sign of alignment. It is the inner world rearranging itself. And once the inner shifts, the outer must obey. There is a story of a person who longed deeply for a new beginning but saw no path. Each day looked the same as the one before. But something within whispered, "Imagine the life you want as though it's already unfolding." So this person began to practice, just for a few minutes each day, feeling what it would be like to step into that new life. No forcing, no straining, no pleading, just a gentle acceptance, a soft assumption, a quiet knowing, and slowly outer circumstances changed. Unexpected support appeared. A new opportunity opened. Relationships shifted. What once seemed impossible became natural. This is not magic. This is law. This is the unseen becoming seen through the doorway of assumption. You may think your desire is far away, but distance is an illusion of the senses. In imagination, it is already here, and imagination is the womb of reality. When you accept the feeling of already having it, you collapse the distance. You close the gap. You become the version of yourself for whom the desire is normal, natural, and inevitable. Let yourself rest in this truth. You are not becoming deserving. You already are. You are not becoming capable. You already are. You are not becoming chosen. You already are. Life has already said yes to your desire. You are simply aligning with that yes. If doubt rises, let it pass through gently. Do not fight it. Doubt has no power unless you give it attention. Return instead to the feeling of already having what you desire. The feeling is the prayer. The feeling is the acceptance. The feeling is the creation. As whispered long ago, as you have believed, so it shall be done. Not as you have hoped, nor wished, but as you have believed. Your inner assumption is the decree the outer world obeys. So breathe for a moment. Let your shoulders soften. Let your heart open. Allow yourself to imagine the scene that proves your desire is fulfilled. See it in the simplest, most natural form. Perhaps someone congratulates you. Perhaps you wake up in a new reality. Perhaps you simply feel the peace of knowing it is done. Choose a moment that makes your heart warm and step into it fully. Feel its reality. Feel its truth. Feel its presence. Do not force emotion. Do not strain for intensity. Quiet feeling is enough. Soft acceptance is enough. A whisper of belief is enough. What matters is that you occupy the state as though it is already true. The inner world responds instantly to assumption. The outer world unfolds in its perfect timing, in ways you could never script. You are not trying to make something happen. You are allowing what is already true to reveal itself. You are welcoming your unseen reality into visibility. You are opening the door through which your desire enters. And it will enter, gently or suddenly, quietly or dramatically, but always faithfully. Because the truth is simple, what you assume with feeling becomes the world you walk in. Rest in the knowing that you already have it. The desire is the announcement. The feeling of fulfillment is the bridge. The manifestation is the echo. And just as an echo must follow the sound, your outer world must follow your inner assumption. So live today as the one who already has the answered prayer. Speak as that one. Think as that one. Walk as that one. Because you are not becoming, it is becoming visible. You are not waiting, it is arriving. You are not hoping, it is unfolding. The unseen is taking form. The desired is stepping into sight. What you have accepted within is now finding its reflection without. Your reality is shifting, shaping, responding. And soon, sooner than you think, you will look around and say with quiet wonder, "It was mine all along." And as you continue to dwell in this inner certainty, you begin to feel something beautiful awakening within you. A quiet companionship with your desire, as though it is walking with you even before it appears. You sense its nearness, its warmth, its gentle insistence that it is already part of your life. This is the mystery of creation unfolding. This is the moment when the inner world becomes more vivid than the outer, and that shift is what draws the unseen into form. There is a deep comfort in knowing that you don't need to see the steps. You only need to feel the outcome. The steps are not your responsibility. They are the responsibility of the law that governs all things. Just as you do not command the sun to rise, yet it rises faithfully, you do not command the method, only the end. And the end, once accepted, contains all the steps within it. Every encounter, every opportunity, every change of direction, every inspired thought, they all flow naturally once you assume the state of the wish fulfilled. You may notice that life begins to move in small ways at first. a conversation that sparks a new idea, a moment of clarity that brings confidence, a shift in mood that makes you feel lighter, more expectant. These are subtle signs of alignment. They are the first ripples of a larger wave forming beneath the surface. The outer world always begins quietly, gently, before the breakthrough arrives. Just as dawn begins with a soft glow long before the sun rises, your manifestation often begins with a feeling long before the form appears. There is a quiet verse that reminds you not to grow weary in the unseen phase. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. It is telling you that the invisible is not empty. It is full of substance, full of life, full of the reality you have accepted. Even when your senses say nothing has changed, your spirit knows otherwise. Something has changed. You changed. You stepped into a new state. And that shift is enough to set everything else in motion. Allow yourself to walk through your day with this knowing. Let it color your though. Influence your posture, soften your heart. When you think of your desire, think of it with affection, not strain. Think of it the way you think of a cherished memory, something that already belongs to you. Smile at it inwardly. Invite it gently. Let the inner conversation about it be loving, warm, familiar. Speak to yourself from the end, as though the desire has already manifested, and feel the relief of knowing it is done. You do not need to force belief. You only need to return to it, gently, consistently, lovingly. Whenever the old story tries to rise again, you may simply say inwardly, no, this is not who I am anymore. I have already received what I desire. And with that soft correction, you step back into your true state. You return to the feeling of fulfillment. And that feeling gathers more and more power each time you dwell in it. Life responds to your dominant inner atmosphere, not to your momentary thoughts. So be gentle with yourself. You are not required to sustain perfect faith every second. You are only asked to return to the state often enough that it becomes familiar, natural, effortless. When the state becomes your home, reality follows. Think of how a child imagines. They believe with ease. They feel their imagined world as real, and the joy they experience becomes their truth in that moment. They do not question how or when. They simply enter the scene and live it. That purity of imagination is the same creative power within you. It has never left. It is simply waiting for you to trust it again. You may notice that when you assume the feeling of already having what you desire, you begin to treat yourself differently. You speak differently. You carry yourself differently. You make choices from a new sense of worthiness. This is not pretending. This is accepting your true identity. You are aligning with the version of yourself who has always exiled, stared in imagination, waiting for you to step into their shoes. And once you do, the world mirrors that version of you with loyalty and precision. If you desire healing, imagine the version of yourself who is already whole. Feel their ease, their strength, their peace. Let that feeling settle into your body as though it belongs to you now, because it does. If you desire love, imagine the version of yourself who is already cherished, already chosen, already deeply valued. Feel the warmth of that love as if it wraps around you. If you desire success, imagine the version of yourself who has already stepped into that accomplishment, already recognized, already secure. The moment you feel the emotion of the fulfilled desire, even lightly, you have entered the state. And everything you encounter from that moment forward begins to shift to match it. You may not notice the changes instantly, but they are happening beneath the surface, quietly rearranging, aligning, synchronizing. You are like a magnet when you assume the state of the wish fulfilled. You draw to yourself people, ideas, resources, and circumstances that reflect your new identity. And what no longer aligns begins to fall away naturally, gently, without struggle. This is not loss. This is clearing. This is the path making room for what belongs to you. Do not be surprised if life begins to move in ways that feel almost too perfect, too aligned, too timely. When you accept the feeling of fulfillment, the world begins to reflect that fulfillment with breathtaking precision. And you realize that nothing was ever random. Everything was guiding you to this awakened understanding of your own creative power. There is a deep comfort in knowing that what is yours cannot pass you. What belongs to your inner state must show itself. What you have accepted within must eventually appear without. The law is faithful. The imagination is faithful. Your desires are faithful. They are messengers, reminders of the reality that already exists within you. Continue returning to the inner scene that proves your desire is fulfilled. Continue feeling the gentle satisfaction of already having it. Let this inner world become more real to you each day. And as you do, the outer world will bend gracefully to reflect it, because it always yields to the one who knows their own creative power. And as you keep allowing this inner fulfillment to settle into your awareness, you may notice that your reactions begin to change. Situations that once stirred anxiety now meet a calmer, more grounded version of you. Delays that once felt threatening no longer shake your faith, because you understand that the outer world is simply catching up to the reality you have already accepted. You begin to see life with gentler eyes, knowing that every moment is moving you closer to the visible expression of what you hold within. There's a softness that develops in your inner dialogue. Instead of pressing for answers, you begin to trust the unfolding. You stop asking, when will it happen? And start affirming it is happening now in the unseen. You shift from urgency to expectancy, from effort to allowing, from fear to quiet assurance. This is the true transformation, the shift from the old self who struggled to get things to the new self who understands that everything desired is already theirs in consciousness. Even your imagination becomes richer and more vivid. You find it easier to enter the scene of fulfillment, not because you are trying harder, but because you are resisting less. The mind becomes like a gentle river flowing in the direction of your chosen state, returning again and again to the image of your completed desire. You feel at home there, as though you are simply remembering something that has always been true, A.B. Out you. You may even notice moments throughout your day where the feeling of fulfillment rises spontaneously. It comes uninvited, like a warm breeze brushing your heart. These moments are signs that your chosen state is becoming natural to you, that your inner reality is becoming your dominant identity. When the feeling of already having your desire becomes familiar, manifestation becomes inevitable. Life begins to send you small confirmations, not to convince you, but to reflect what you have already accepted. A comment from someone, an unexpected opportunity, a shift in circumstances, a sudden idea. These outer hints feel almost playful, like gentle nods from the universe saying, yes, you are aligned. Yes, it is unfolding. Yes, keep going. You don't cling to them because you no longer need proof, but you appreciate them, knowing they are echoes of the inner change. There is a verse that speaks to the heart of this journey. When you pray, believe that you have received and you shall. Notice the order. Believe you have already received. The outer will follow. This is the inner art of assumption. This is the invisible becoming visible through the doorway of faith-filled imagination. As this understanding deepens within you, you begin to walk through life with a softer step, a clearer mind, a brighter spirit. You no longer feel the need to push against circumstances or force outcomes. You simply hold your inner knowing with grace. You let the feeling of fulfillment guide you, comfort you, and shape the way you interact with the world. Conversations feel different when you speak from the end. Decisions feel easier when you choose from the end. Even challenges appear less intimidating when you face them as the version of yourself who already has the outcome. The power is not in the outer conditions, but in the state you occupy, and you are learning to occupy your chosen state with ease. This inner steadiness becomes your anchor. Whenever doubt or fear tries to rise, you remember that these emotions do not carry truth. They only reflect old patterns. And with compassion, you guide yourself back to alignment, whispering inwardly, it is already mine. I already have it. These words are not wishful thinking. They are declarations of your spiritual reality, and the outer world rearranges itself to honor them. You might find yourself naturally expressing gratitude, not as a technique, but as a spontaneous outflow of your inner certainty. Gratitude that the desire is already fulfilled. Gratitude that the path is already prepared. Gratitude that you no longer need to struggle for what is yours by right of consciousness. Gratitude that the unseen is always working in your favor. This gratitude creates an even stronger energetic match with your chosen state. It draws the manifestation closer, not because gratitude forces anything, but because it aligns you with T, the feeling of having already received. Gratitude is the emotional fragrance of fulfillment. When you feel it, you are breathing the atmosphere of your completed desire. You begin to understand deeply and quietly that you are not manifesting something outside of yourself. You are revealing something that has existed within you all along. The outer world is simply the stage on which your inner assumptions take form. And as your inner world becomes more aligned with the feeling of fulfillment, the stage must change to reflect it. Your imagination becomes the holy ground on which your future is written. Your feelings become the ink. Your assumptions become the script. And the world plays out exactly what you have accepted in the silence of your own heart. With each passing day, you trust this process more. You relax into it. You surrender resistance. You allow the new state to take root and grow strong. And life responds by guiding you in ways that feel natural, harmonious, and beautifully timed. The truth grows clearer. You already have it, and it is already entering your reality. And as this truth continues to settle within you, something remarkable begins to happen. You start to notice the subtle ways in which your outer world bends to match your inner conviction. It may come through a shift in someone's tone, a sudden opportunity that wasn't there before, or an unexpected message at the perfect moment. These changes may seem small at first, but they carry a quiet power, for they signal the aligning of your inner assumption with the fabric of your external reality. You begin moving through your days with a sense of anticipation, not anxious expectation, but peaceful readiness. It feels as though you're walking towards something that is already walking toward you. The journey no longer feels uphill. It feels like a natural unfolding, a revelation rather than a pursuit. You sense that the fulfillment you once thought was far away is now brushing against the edges of your experience. This inner shift changes the way you interpret everything. What once appeared as obstacles now appear as rearrangements. What once felt like delays now feel like divine timing. What once looked like closed doors now look like redirects guiding you exactly where you need to be. And you trust this guidance because you know the source of your creation is within, not without. There's a sacred rhythm to this process. The inner acceptance comes first, then the outer expression follows. This pattern is constant, unwavering, and faithful. Just as you cannot see the wind, but can see its effects, you cannot always see the inner adjustments that are happening, but you will witness their reflections in the tapestry of your daily life. Your desires begin to feel less like wishes and more like memories. Memories of a future already lived in imagination. You sense them as real, as present, as familiar. They no longer sit on a distant pedestal. They sit beside you, within you, part of you. And as this feeling strengthens, the gap between desire and manifestation dissolves. You may find yourself smiling more often for no outward reason. That smile is the sign of someone who knows their inner world is already rich with fulfillment. You carry a quiet glow, a sense of assurance that others may not understand but will feel. They may ask what has changed, unaware that the shift began in a place beyond their sight. The beautiful part is that you do not have to explain anything to anyone. Your manifestation will speak for itself. Your life will become the testimony of your inner transformation. The changes will be undeniable, not because you forced them, but because you lived them inwardly until they could no longer remain invisible. You are learning that creation is not about EF or ought. It is about alignment. It is not about forcing the world to bend to your will. It is about embodying the state that naturally attracts what belongs to it. Just as water responds to gravity, reality responds to assumption. The version of you who already has your desire carries a different posture, a different energy, a different expectation. And the moment you adopt that energy, the world begins rearranging itself accordingly. You begin making choices that reflect your new identity. You speak differently, you think differently, you breathe differently. You no longer look for signs of whether it's working. You know it is working because your inner world is already living in the fulfillment. And that inner world is the blueprint from which your outer world is built. Even in quiet moments when no one else is around, you feel the presence of your fulfilled desire like a gentle warmth in your chest. This is your proof. Not the outer circumstances, not the physical evidence, this inner warmth, this inner knowing, this quiet assurance. It tells you that you are aligned with the state of the wish fulfilled. You may notice your imagination becoming more delicate, more refined. You no longer need grand scenes or dramatic emotions. Even the simplest image, a hand holding yours, a gentle nod of approval, a feeling of peace, becomes enough to anchor you in the state. The simpler the scene, the easier it becomes for your subconscious to accept it as true. And once accepted, it begins its faithful work of expression. There is nothing you need to remove from your life, nothing you need to fight against, nothing you need to fix or struggle with. As your inner assumption strengthens, anything that does not align with your fulfilled state will dissolve naturally. It will fall away because it no longer finds a home in your new identity. Everything in your world responds to who you believe you are. And you are now choosing to believe in the version of yourself who already has what they desire. You are choosing to live from the end, to feel from the end, to think from the end. This choice becomes your daily companion, shaping your experiences with quiet yet undeniable certainty. The more you return to the feeling of fulfillment, the faster your outer world shifts, not because you are rushing it, but because you are no longer contradicting it with doubt or fear. You are aligned. You are trusting. You are allowing the invisible to take form in its perfect sequence. And though the full manifestation may not yet be visible, you can feel its arrival in the atmosphere of your life. The signs, the shifts, the synchronicities, they are gathering, weaving themselves into a tapestry that will soon unfold before your eyes. You sense the closeness of your desire the way you sense the change in the air before rain. You feel it before you see it. And now you stand here, not as someone waiting for their life to change, but as someone who has awakened to their own creative power. You are no longer reaching outward, you are rising inward. You are no longer hoping, you are knowing. You are no longer searching, you are receiving. Everything you desire has already been given form in the unseen, and your faith, your imagination, your quiet assumption is the bridge that carries it into visibility. Let this truth settle deep within you. You are not becoming worthy. You have always been worthy. You are not becoming powerful. You have always been powerful. You are not becoming chosen. You have always been chosen for the very desires placed in your heart. They were never meant to tease you or elude you. They were meant to awaken you. So breathe deeply and let yourself feel the fullness of what is already yours. Walk forward with the certainty of someone who knows their reality is unfolding in their favor. Trust the timing, embrace the process, hold the feeling, and allow the unseen to reveal itself in the perfect way. Your desire is not on its way, it is already here, moving toward you, aligning around you, preparing to meet you in the physical. And soon, you will look at your life with awe and say, this is exactly what I imagined. This is exactly what I believed. This is exactly who I have always been. Your reality is catching up to your truth. Your world is unfolding to match your inner knowing. And the masterpiece of your life, one you have already painted in imagination, is now stepping into the light.